Because there was a time I was going to the office and I fell in a ditch.
Eh.
And I scraped my trouser.
What do you
In the morning.
In the morning.
What do you
It's
mean?
8:30.
This is after the move.
Yeah, this is after the move. Up Westlands roundabout. Nikaanguka ndani ya mtaro.
Someone is testing
And
you.
I scraped my knee and I was bleeding. And yeah, I still had things that I needed to deliver. And, you know,
That's fascinating, man.
I'm assuming it's in your plans to be a father.
That's a very loaded question. If the graces grant me that, if God's favor grants me that, yes.
Okay.
The question was the role I'd want my person to be to my kids. Right?
Yeah. The father of your kids to be
She said you my person. She did not say
the father of your kids.
Yeah, so-
Okay.
Which is very...
When you're not getting kids with your person, what's going on?
No, she's owning. It's not just the father, she's owning the person.
Okay.
She's
Okay.
taking-
No, slavery was abolished. Human trafficking is not legal. Hello, guys, and welcome to the More to Follow podcast. If you're returning, karibu sana. It's a new space, it's a new season, it's a new year. We're excited. If you're new here, this is how things are normally, they normally look like. Yes, karibuni sana. We have a guest today, but before we get into that, I would like to introduce the mainstays of our podcast.
So yes, the name is Owen.
Naambia watu happy new year. Bado hatujafika April.
Oh yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So happy new year. There's usually a debate on when you can say happy new year. Personally, I think you can say it all the way up until November, but it's fine. Story for another day. Owen is the name.
November.
Yes.
November is stretching it. You're what? 11 months in?
Yes.
Let's say April. April works.
April
Hi,
works.
I am Corey. Yes.
Okay. For me, it's until Ash Wednesday. After Ash Wednesday, it's almost Easter. That's the feeling. So my moniker for today. Let me tell the guest.
Oh, wait. 1 minute.
Okay.
We need to tell guys about the space we're in. This is Kaliworks at Visit Ngara. Gracious enough to host us for this season. And well, guys, if you want to come see the space, they're the same guys who are doing Nairobi and the t-shirts.
Yes.
Amazing work. You should be able to come down and see some of the products they have and also talk to the founder. He's very, very approachable. So, yeah.
You said the Nairobian t-shirts.
I wish, are you able to show that poster?
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll show the
pop it
poster.
in this,
Yeah. And if you're listening on the podcast, then you go to our socials.
Yes.
Utaiona
huko. Fantastic. So, Mr. Guest, typically during our episodes, I try to introduce myself as one of the historical figures of whichever tribe within our country. It could be Borana, it could be the Luo tribe, it could be the Luya tribe, Machakos tribe. So I don't think I've done one for Kikuyu yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Ireri was from the Embu people.
Embu side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the person for today that I will embody, I'll introduce myself as is Karoliwa Gakure.
Karoliwa Gakure.
He was a great Kikuyu chief, a medicine man and a warrior. And he was initiated into the trade as a traditional doctor and became famous for his skills. His fame increased further when he gave war medicine to the Kikuyu warriors of Karura, in Kiambu to help them triumph over the Maasai warriors of Naivasha. Must have been an interesting time to live.
Yeah. Did you say war medicine?
War medicine. I don't know what that is, but that's actually quite interesting. Okay. Yes. Can you imagine you think about where Karura is and think about where Naivasha is?
Yes.
Where are you meeting to fight,
All those areas of Deia and as you go towards Suswa.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because remember Kiambu also extends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's quite a distance for war. It's
To fight.
That's why it was called war
Yeah,
medicine.
so
It's proper war.
By the time we're getting there, we're not having any discussions. Anyway. So I'd like to introduce today's guest. We will call him Mr. Dad. for this
Yes.
episode. We are going to talk about fatherhood, and we thought to bring someone close to us as a podcast. So maybe he can just tell us what he does with himself during the day, preferably the legal things.
Okay, fine. Am I supposed to say Happy New Year as well?
Yes,
if you would
it's
like.
allowed.
Happy New
It's
Year.
still
It's
allowed.
allowed, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We are still in February. Okay, good. I'm James, besides the other name of Mr. Dad. And people around here, I guess I qualify to be their fathers. And hence the reason as to why I'm here. But over and above that, when I'm not practicing fatherhood, I also practice financial services and issues to do with strategy development and things like those ones in business world. Yes, so that's what I do. Brief.
Okay.
Yes.
For those who know me personally and they know what I do on a daily basis, you can see clearly the apple does not fall far from the tree.
It's in the blood.
Yeah,
Clearly,
clearly. Okay, so we can get into today's episode, and we're gonna start with a bit of an icebreaker. Ladies first, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question of the day is, what's one lesson from your father that shaped who you are today?
Wow. There are many lessons. So I'm wondering which one to pick, and especially within such a short time. But maybe the most profound, probably before I say the lesson, maybe I should first put in one thing that in the olden days, or in those days as we grew up, there was the issue of the fathers being like the moralist and also the spiritual leaders within the family. Yeah? So you'll find that, yes, there is a bit of spirituality that you'll inherit from your fathers. And I think one of the key things that I would say helped in terms of forming who I am, sounds like those cliche things that we all say, that my father told me I don't know what, but I remember him challenging me between my academic sort of success and my spiritual success. And according to him, it was supposed to be the same, at the same level. That was quite challenging, because then it meant that you needed to go and read a little bit more about the whole story of Christianity. And interestingly enough, he had even a Quran in the house. So it's like you not just choosing Christianity for the sake of choosing Christianity.
I'm learning about this
It
today.
is yes, he's still there. Yeah, next time we go there, we should ask him to show you. So it is not just Christianity only. You had to look at both sides and probably make a determination of what you are going to do. Okay. So I'm Christian, probably Catholic by choice. Not so much because I was born in that kind of a family, but because then you are told, here it is, make your choice.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Good luck topping
I like
that.
Go on, sorry.
My dad, may he rest in peace, was a very calm person. A typical flag, if I may put it. So his demeanor when it comes to approaching problems or when there are issues in the house, it's very rare for you to find inamsumbua. He's very calm even when things are good, when they're bad, when he doesn't have money, when he thinks hata nikifanya makosa. And I think having that sort of a demeanor is something I aspire to get. I don't think I'm there yet. I mean, from the last season, I kept saying how I'm led by my feelings. Nikisikia nakasirika, you will know. So I'm hoping to get to that point, but it's something I've observed with him, and I would want to be able to be as calm in nature as he was.
Okay.
I'll say two things. One, is your dad still around? He sounds like
Yes,
a very interesting
yes,
man.
yes, he's still around.
That's fascinating.
Yes,
It's not
he's still around.
those days and ages, and from that generation, find someone who would be open to letting their kids either pick whatever.
True.
It's not easy to find.
Yeah.
And must have been a very forward-thinking man. If I was to pick one thing from my dad, so to speak, the lesson that really sits with me, he mentioned that whatever you do it to the complete uttermost of yourself. In whatever faction, in whatever way, whatever role you pick, whether it is in being a friend, being a father, whether it is in playing, whether it is in taking time off, whether it is in studying hard, whatever it is, do it to the complete utmost version of yourself. So I think that's the lesson for me that
stuck.
Yeah, that has stuck with me.
Okay. For me personally, the one thing that there might be a bit of recency bias in this, but I remember when I was moving out, like very many things in my life at that time were not working the way I wanted them to work. And I'm sure you know, by the time I'm 25, I need to have a husband, a car, and our own house and everything. And I'm turning 25, and I'm being told you need to start living on your own, and Ruto is your president, and there's just so many things that are not working, and you used to get overwhelmed. Work was also not the best at that time, and I'll get home, and one time we just had a conversation, and he mentioned that it's never that serious. Just need to calm down. And for me, when I feel now, even right now, when things are getting really, really heavy in the office, because I moved from a work environment that was very low pressure to a very high pressure one.
Okay.
The expectations tripled also because of the position and everything. I remind myself, look, it's never that serious. I just need to calm down. And I've learned that from that, you get to attract people towards you to also enjoy, and you create a very conducive environment around you of people who are like, like we'll get the work done and we will also have fun doing it. Like it's never that serious.
I have a question. Is it you get the work done in time, or you get it done when it's done?
You get it done in a timely manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
It introduced the aspects of quality and proper resource management, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and in the event that maybe something happens in the middle, you see, if you have this attitude of it will happen, it's never that serious, then you also allow yourself to live life around it, Because there was a time I was going to the office and I fell in a ditch. And I scraped my trouser.
What do you mean?
In the morning.
In the morning.
What do you
It's
mean?
8:30.
This is after the move.
Yeah, this is after the move. Hapo Westlands roundabout. Nikaanguka ndani ya mtaro.
Someone is testing
And
you.
I scraped my knee and I was bleeding. And I still had things that I needed to deliver. And,
That's fascinating, man.
if I was so pressured, then it will add a lot of pressure on whatever it is that I'm experiencing. But, I went and I explained the situation and I told them, look, the way I'm seeing things, I'll deliver XYZ. And they're understanding. And, yeah.
Because life has to move on.
Life has to move on, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so on to the topic of today, fatherhood. That was a very nice icebreaker. We'll start with you now. Yeah. I'm assuming it's in your plans to be a father.
That's a very loaded question. If the graces grant me that, if God's favor grants me that, yes.
Okay, fantastic. What do you think will be one role that you will have?
Ooh.
And then, as you prepare yourself, what's one role you'd want the father of your kids to embody?
I think for me, the one role, the biggest role in my take on being a father and a parent is mentorship. So that continuous formation of not just a set or systems of understanding or belief or thought process through conversation, as we're doing here, for example. So that mentorship, like being a mentor to my kids, being present enough to be a mentor and continuously weaving through the different journeys of life. Yeah.
Okay.
The question was the role I'd want my person to be to my kids, right?
Yeah. The father of your kids to be
She said you my person. She did not say
the father of your kids.
So-
Okay.
Which is very...
When you're not getting kids with your person, what's going on?
No, she's owning. It's not just the father, she's owning the person.
Okay.
She's
You know, slavery was abolished. Human trafficking is not legal.
To prepare for this episode, I actually listened to an interview that was done by Lacrae and some guy called Malcolm, who's really big on breaking the chains on what toxic masculinity is and what I had, because I'm learning this from them. And the role of a man is to be a provider and a protector. I think that's a societal role I would expect the man to play in the family. But I think with the information I got, I think I'd also want them to be like the person who leads my kids to learn how to express and also be vulnerable with how they're feeling at home. Just feeling in general. There's that bit that needs to be nurtured. I don't know why the assumption before was, if you're not a man who's providing them a present, I'm so sorry. If you're not
Casio Hivo stuck.
guys. Anyway, that's the role I'd
How
want
much
them
is a Casio, by the way? Anyway,
that's the role I'd want them to play.
Okay, so like a leader. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, before now we get to the one who's had
the perspective.
Yeah.
I was curious for that question, but yeah, go on for you.
For me, when I had some sort of epiphany, I think this is what, 2019.
About 6 years ago, yeah?
Yeah. Should I disclose my age at the time? Anyway, he's going to say how long he's been a dad, and then it's going to disclose. So anyway, I was 21 at the time, and I had this epiphany on what it is that I wanted to do with my life. Like, what are my life goals? So when somebody asks me, what's your life goal? What's your life goal? And of course, there's the traditional way of, I get a lot of money, and then the story ends there. But there's no purpose in that. And as men, we've been built, our apex point of self-actualization is when we're giving ourselves to others.
Yeah.
And I figured, then if that's the case, then my life goals should be aligned to that. And so for me, the life goals are 3: to be a present dad, a good husband, and a better friend.
Oh, my God.
In that order.
Okay, not particularly. not particularly. Not particularly. It made sense mnemonically in my head.
Okay.
Yeah, it flows. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and with that, when you're a present father, that's one of the things that I have gotten to experience. I mean, clearly, to Coco podcast, and
fair enough. And
a
shout out to Mr. Dad. Yeah, shout out to Mr. Dad. Yeah.
there's a present father, and so I would want to pass that down. And, with that, you have such a family unit that shapes how society around it exists. You shape culture, and you shape basically a nation, more or less. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think. So now, you could start by maybe telling us how long you've been a dad, and maybe what are 2 roles that you've embodied in that period. Yeah.
Just 2.
Oh,
Okay.
All of them. You can say all of them.
Okay. I'm not. Can I remember how many years I've been a dad? Because I think there are 2 ways in which you can look at fatherhood. You can look at fatherhood from just, yes, I'm the father, and so biologically, yes, it starts on the clock start ticking on a date Y. But then you could also be having other responsibilities that put you in a position of fatherhood, even maybe earlier before you become a biological father. And so maybe in this case, I'll distinguish the 2 and say, okay, fine. As a biological father, probably now I should be looking at close to 28 years. That is not his age. But it doesn't sound like it is to say there is another firstborn before him. That's not the intention.
That he knows of. Fair enough.
But just to say that, yes, this journey of fatherhood, you also start walking it maybe much earlier before then, before the children start coming in.
Yeah.
And so you may find yourself having taken up some of the responsibilities much earlier than when actually the actual responsibilities that relate to you came on board. So the roles of fatherhood, or what you expect of a father, it's very interesting because I want to go back to 1974, 75, which maybe at around that time I had a bit of experience with my dad, and I could be able to see what he was doing. Keeping in mind that people tend to listen with their eyes more than with their ears.
Okay, that's powerful.
So now, so I want to see what it is, to say what I saw from my father.
Okay.
And as we are growing up, of course, there in the village, there was clear demarcation of what girls are supposed to be doing and what boys are supposed to be doing. Even say, for example, a simple thing like where you are supposed to sleep. Girls will probably sleep in the olden days, even before maybe we were born. Remember, men never used to stay or sleep in the same house with their wives. So they will have their central hut there, and there'll be the huts around there, depending on how many wives that you had. And then, of course, they would come in turns, so that then you don't wonder what happened where and how were people finally born. So, so that you guys can ask me that question. So I want to just clear that. So you'll find that yes, the environment was such that now when you became a boy through the rites of initiation, you are a young man. Then it's like you are staying there in a different place. But coming back to my father, what was interesting is that in our home, we did not have that clear distinction. And many times we felt very bad because you could see the other boys, after school, they have very little chores to do, but then their sisters will have quite a bit in terms of the work that they needed to do. Was it because our father had told us to do those things? No. But because I saw him cooking for us and mom is seated there, I couldn't, it was very perplexing that at that point in time, my mom is seated there and dad is making the ugali.
This is 1975.
Oh
We're talking
my.
of 75.
Like we
Yes,
said, he was
he
a
was-
forward-thinking man.
Hey.
So from that and growing up, to be very honest, this thing about gender issues, I came to know of it when I came to Nairobi. Before then, we were all the same. We were treated the same way with my sisters. Everything was the same.
Who was going to the, what do you call it, the
We'll
farm?
go to the farm, all of us. We'll go and fetch water, all of us. Fetch firewood, all of us. The only thing that I did not see my sisters do is milk or go to graze.
Okay.
Those were the only two things that I did not see them doing. But
wow.
everything else, we used to take turns. There were turns I took to cook on Sundays because I'm the one who was available, or the smallest of the people who were supposed to be going to church. So the order was, if you are the smallest one, you are left home cooking. So it was just like that. So so you see now, so my role could be a bit not so much in line with maybe what the expectations were or what many people went through. But generally in the society, because of course we lived in a society, we knew the man was supposed to be, number one, the disciplinarian. So you discipline everybody, including your wives. Yes.
I did not think
So you'll find very interesting situations whereby even the man can decide that the wife has not done the right thing in the shamba, and the discipline, of course, these days was a fight, and it's not really a fight, it's just beating up the lady, So things like those ones. So that could happen anywhere.
Really?
It really didn't matter too much for the
Okay.
men, because then it was like, okay, fine. I'm the one in charge of the discipline. My wife is supposed to behave like this, and she hasn't done it. My kids are behaving like this, they haven't done it. So that's why you hear then when they talk about a child, like while growing up, if I did something out there, I'll be beaten by the next person who is there, who is an adult, and then report the same and also say what it is that they have done. Then you'll meet another kind of punishment as well. So it's not like they'll say, oh, that was enough.
Cumulative
No,
punishment.
then you'll get, yes, and anyway, that would continue like that. So that was one very clear law of a man at that point in time. Then, of course, the other things will be, Okay, fine. You're supposed to protect, to offer protection, as you said. So what is also very funny is that, remember the setup that I've talked about? So I'm wondering, so who is protecting who if you are surrounded? But anyway, let's forget about that one. But the protection in this case, and I remember one time having a conversation with my late grandmother, and she was telling me, man, oh, nowadays you guys are cowards. Especially when we had those political upheavals in Kenya. So her, she believed we should stand up and do it because after all, they fought the Masais, they fought the Kalenjins, according to her. So she was she was wondering, what is all this? You guys are claiming there's a problem and we cannot live here. We live here by the fact that we fight for it. We fought the Muzungu, I don't know, we fought who, so you see, that's how it was. So men were expected to be in the front line of that kind of fight and going out. That's how protection was perceived to be. Protection was maybe not the soft kind of protection that we want nowadays. The protection at that point in time, it was, there's danger coming, you the man, stand up to the danger. And so I guess that's how even the whole story of Mau even started. Because it was like, it must have been started by women saying, you cowards.
Oh my
How
God.
can your land be taken? Why can't you stand up for your land and for your rights and for everything? Remember, it's only men who used to carry the passbook, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the whole story about the hat tax. And that's how the hats disappeared. Because now you'll pay more taxes depending on the number of hats that you have. Yeah, so so there must have been challenges from down there to say, you guys stand up, do something. And probably then they ended up doing those kind of things. So that was the other role that you expected of a man. So it was very physical. It was not anything, nowadays I think protection is technology. You put security systems and things like those ones. Here is, you put out your life for whatever danger that there was. That was the kind of protection that we're talking about. And then the other stories is that it's only men who went out to pray. So it's like they were the priests or spiritual leaders of their families. So you will not hear that the women met under the Mugumo tree or facing Mount Kenya and I don't know what, according to the Kikuyu practices at that point in time. It was the men. So the men will go there, offer sacrifices and everything else. So they were spiritual leaders as well. And that was expected. And I think that is why it was a big issue when it comes to matters of discipline. Then also the men were the people who took care of the morality of the society. So even in homes, you'll find that as a father, that was expected. And most of the time, yes, the expectation is that this is the set norms of our society. This is how we live. Number one, this is how we live as a family. This is how we live as a clan. And I don't know what they call beret in English, but yes, then, before you come to the clan, there is the extended family in between there. Yeah. So this is how we live. And because you remember the society, very communal, even things like in dowries and things like those ones, then you find that there is a culture that is set. So the morals and the cultures, the custodians were men. And they are the ones who were expected to pass it down to their children. The other generation. So the man will be involved in that kind of an activity, and that was a role that was very clear. Such that even if, say, for example, yes, a lady would probably have an understanding of how something is done and the way it's supposed to be, she will probably not even say it in the open. She'll find a way of communicating through the husband. So I think largely, yes, you look at issues of moral, you look at issues of culture, you look at, and so culture also together with the teaching. There was also the teaching in terms of you go out with your father, he's the one who is going to tell you this tree, this is what it is called, this is what it does. these goats, like these ones, these are their names, this is how you're supposed to handle them. If, say, for example, you are walking and you meet a leopard, this is how you are supposed to behave against it, you know.
That's
If
wild.
you know, so all these things, how to manage all these things, they were primarily like the source of the true direction,
Okay.
and the source of all the knowledge that was required at that point in time for the society to be able to survive and continue. So they had quite a number of roles as men.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I think what's more interesting is we've not mentioned provision. Yeah, and which has become like such a huge topic these days. I don't know why you're rolling your eyes, and you
No,
know
it's true. It's
very
true.
well.
I don't know
you
why it's a huge topic, so to speak, in my
I
opinion.
think in the olden days, the provision for men was like, I provide you with land.
Yes.
Then you, as the ladies, and hence the children and the mothers, were going to till the land and get whatever comes out of the land. So the provision was more in providing an environment for them to be able to generate whatever
wow.
food that there is. It wasn't so much in the maybe that this is the man who has to go till get the sweet potatoes or arrowroots and bring them to the house and stuff like that.
Girlfriend allowance, Ningwashi.
Guys.
Yeah, you know, things like those ones. And so men will brag about maybe the animals that they have, and they'll brag about the size of the land that they have and the size of the family, because then the size of the land and the size of the family were supposed to correlate, because then the larger the family, then the more of the land. Keeping in mind that land was very communal at that point in time. So then it's just like within our clan, this is what we've been allocated, and XYZ gets this allocation depending on whatever his needs are. And that is why I think at that point in time, the whole story of want and people living in sort of what we would call abject poverty at that point in time, where people sleep hungry and things like that, those things were unheard of.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's if you are lazy,
Yes,
I guess.
yes. If you did not do anything, yes, then you will sleep hungry. But even I remember some of the people that I saw, pretty old, who qualified maybe to be my great grandparents. They would come and live around my grandfather's place, and they would be fed. And some of them we used to think they were our relatives, and they weren't.
Yeah.
They were just people who did not even get married in course of their lifetime. Because of that issue of course, for you to get married, you needed to look wealthy. And looking wealthy meant you had enough goods, and you looked like you had a small piece of land where you had planted enough sweet potatoes and things like that. So those were the things that they would look at in terms of them. So provision was there. It's maybe a different dimension.
Okay.
I have a few questions. I mean, from that particular time to the issues about there's female empowerment that has happened.
Yes.
Which means in a situation like today, a woman can provide, a woman can protect herself and even her family. How does it do the roles of the man as a father change? Because now, before you said all these roles were left to the man, whether it's being the disciplinarian, whether you're the provider, whether you're the protector, it's the man's
spiritual
job.
leader.
Yes. In this situation, women have been empowered enough to be able to do it. And I think now that's where the issues when it comes to relationships. I can do it, but now does it mean as a woman now I'm supposed to be paying for my meals when we're going on a date? Does it mean I need to contribute to rent? Do I need to also chip in when it comes to food? Does the role of a man change, or as a woman I'm still supposed to play? How have things changed, and whether it has changed for the better, and
Okay.
what roles do they have now?
Okay.
Go first, yeah.
That feels like an absolute fantastic cliffhanger to leave this
Which
episode on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So catch us next week on the next episode. We will continue where exactly she has left off. Like, share, subscribe, come visit Kaliworks.
From Kaliworks, from Nye with Love. there's more to follow.
Yeah, more to follow.
I love that.
Bye bye.